Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Tajahubanekum dan salam sejahtera. Today I will be presenting a study being entitled The Development of Recording Systems and the Collection of Fresh Fruit Bunch FFB for Upstream Purpose. Due to that, my name is Muhammad Shahrizan bin Ahmad Jaman, a postgraduate student from Faculty of Plantation and Agrotechnology, Universiti Teknologi Mara, Cawangan Melaka, Campus Jasin. First of all, in terms of the introduction itself, as we know, the supply chain of oil palm industry can be divided into several business parts, started from the upstream FFB growers until the downstream of oleochemical comprised of producer and manufacturer. Focusing directly to the upstream FFB growers, most of the oil palm plantation premises still conducting the cheat grading method in order to get the actual number of harvested FFB daily. So, what is cheat grading? Cheat grading method had enormous amount of incapability and also lack of integrity issue, although this method has been used for ages. So, by the development of these systems, it's capable to enhance the work productivity of upstream growers within their plantation premises generally. So basically, the cheat grading paper having the FFB criteria such as the ripe FFB, unripe FFB, underripe FFB, and once the FFB are being harvested, the mando or the supervisor will tick on this paper and it will be placed like this on top of the fresh fruit bunch. But in figure below shows if the cheat grading paper run out, they will cut the rubber mat into a different shape and place it on top of the FFB. Next, what are the consequences of this method? The first one is the cheat grading paper might be lost during the transportation to the mill. As we know, the what we call the estate surface might be bumpy, and second one is the paper might be destroyed during the raining season. As we know, right now Malaysia are having a very heavy rainfall due to our monsoon season. And last but not least, invalid data and obsolete might be received. So in order to overcome all of these problems, that's why I try to invent the systems. The objective, the first one is to develop recurrent systems of fresh fruit bunch for upstream supply chain, and a second one to generate a report data due to the existence of recording system for the company convenience. So next we move to the methods of applications. So in order to develop a very successful system, we must follow in the Sdlc method, which is the software development life cycle. The first one we had the planning, second one we had the analysis, third phase we had the design, four is implementations, five is testing and integrations, and last but not least is maintenance. So how to assess to the system? Basically, the system consisting of four steps. This first one is user need to scan the QR code, which means each block has its own unique QR code. Step 2, it is require an ID and password for each different user. So as we know, in certain estate plantation they had many number of mandos. So that's why each user had their own password. Step 3, the each grading form will be appear, and last but not least, the data will be appear for documentation process that will ease the company convenience. Next is data collections. So there are several equations that has been distributed during the survey process in order to get the information for this system development project. Almost 98% of correspondents are agreeing that this kind of systems that been developed useful and feasible enough to be used within the oil palm plantation. Meanwhile, what we call their main concerns regarding this kind of system was about the having the strong phone connections, since will be assessed inside an oil palm plantations. So next we move towards the systems implementations. So as we know, first one, the Industrial Revolution 4.0 IR 4.0 increasing the demand and the productions of the palm oil respectively. As we know, the world population are increasing. Second one, the system is able to reduce the working personnel by increasing the work integrity and valid data can be recorded. Third one is fast and precise when accessing to the system. It only takes a few seconds to be operated and generated. And last but not least, managers and officers can have a clear view on the total harvested through the visiting the website made for the system's existing. Step 1. User need to scan the QR code since each block had its own unique QR code. As we know, each plantation estate having more than one block. So basically, I'm gonna develop and for each block having their own unique QR code in order to sustain the level of working integrity within their workers. Step 2, it will require an ID and password for each different user. So basically anyone who had the power, who had the authority to calculate the total harvested FFB for that daily on each block having the ID and password. Step 3, each grading form will be appear that containing the FFB criteria. Basically, each grading form is having the similarity to the cheat grading form sheet, which having the FFB criteria such as ripe FFB, unripe FFB, underripe FFB, rotten FFB, empty FFB, and many more. Last but not least, after you fill up all the form, the data will be appear for the further documentation. Having the users need to scan the QR code. Basically, this QR code is being designed for each block. You can use any kinds of QR code scanner in order to scan to the unique the code for the PM99R. Just click to the scan QR code, scan to the PM99R. So it will require your ID. Just jot down your ID and password. Click sign in. So it will appear the block that you'll be in charge, which is the PM99R. The name of the man in charge was Abu Bakar and to this date. And basically the system having the quite similar to the cheat grading method, the traditional method, which is having the FFB criteria. So the Mando in charge just only need to jot down the number of harvested FFB. So for example, I'm choosing the number of 5. For example, I'm click send. All the data that you've been filled out before, you can just put back your ID and password, and automatically it will bring you to this interface of the system. So here we have the first column, that's what we call the harvested today, and this column is a very important since it will become a wake-up call to the plantations officers. It will be noticed the blocks that didn't key in yet their data. For example, we had the remaining 4 blocks that didn't key in yet. Since before I'm just key in the blocks for the PM99R, and we had the full graph that stated the total of harvested FFB for each month. We have the month of starting from January until this month, July, of harvested FFB. It require on 1 month it will require a 3 round. So in order to retrieve all the data that are being filled up, so we have 2 columns. It's stated first one is block and the dates. So on previous, I'm just fill up on the today's date, which is the year of 2020 on month of July. Just click me. So it will appear the data of the block that we desired. For example, I'm choosing PM99R, and as you can see here, previous I'm just jot down the number of harvested FFB for the underripe FFB, which is the buah muda, and you can see here just click 5. So you can print out this, and this data can be printed out and used for the company